excellent day for an exorcism.
I see dead people.
Suffering will be legendary, even in hell.
It's alive!
Fear on Film.
Hey, I'm Sean,
And I'm Joe,
and welcome to the podcast.
where we talk about fear, jump scares,
Gory kills, the brutal, the gruesome,
and the not so gruesome.
all in the disturbed and morbid love for horror.
Welcome back to Fear on Film, our monthly dive into horror. Alrighty, well, Sean, here we are, season 2.
Don't you roll straight into it after we haven't spoken in so long, and you go right over our emotions? I missed you, Joseph. Did you miss me?
Absolutely, man. Now, to let the audience know, our listeners, we don't speak too much during the hiatus because, we, here and there we text each other. But the problem that we have is that we just can't hold back because we've seen a ton of films throughout the hiatus.
Boy,
And
howdy.
and so it's like, and we try to keep it fresh and surprising for the episode. And we know we're going to talk on the phone or whatever. And we're like, oh, did you see this one? I loved it. Did you, and we kind of ruined it for the podcast, the material. And because we like the element of surprise.
The one thing that annoys me the most about, and nothing annoys me about the podcast, but the one thing that does is that you and I are on different coasts. Because if we lived closer to each other, we could actually enjoy these films together. We'd probably get nothing done and our marriages would suffer horribly. So you know what? Maybe it's good that we've got almost 50 states between us.
Right. Yeah, our wives would be like, okay, you're having your bromance. I'm out of here. My wife, she says, oh, I'm jealous. You guys have a beautiful bromance going. And I'm like, he's my buddy, So
Well, dude, yeah. It's may this fire never extinguish of our love for each other.
absolutely.
When we get to Hokum, I'm going to tell you the story about me bringing my wife Jen and her reaction to it, and how I'm still in trouble. So we'll just stick a pin in that. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Well, I'm sure you owe her a screening of Devil Wears Prada too. So.
Yep, happened last night. Yep, done and dusted.
Okay. Alrighty. So you know what? As you know, folks, we've had a couple months break, a little hiatus there, so that we can relax and not do much. And I don't think that's what happened. We were very busy. I know you were extremely busy. Why don't you tell the folks what you've been up to about your podcast that you have going on now?
Joe, yeah. The plan was for Joe and I to take a short little break, just a couple of weeks, and kind of recharge the batteries. And Joe will tell you about the cavalcade of things that he put on his plate. But I actually, with Matt Orozco, who's the owner and editor-in-chief of Macabre Daily, he said, hey, look, Sean, you know what? We started talking about putting my column, Paper Cuts, taking it from YouTube, where you can still find it, everyone, but now putting it into the Macabre Daily Podcast Network, which I was thrilled about, because now you can find Paper Cuts and all of my interviews and panels and everything horror literature related on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Deezer and, just every single place where you get your podcast fix. You can now find Paper Cuts on there, and I'm just thrilled to death. And it's really expanded the range of listeners and audience for not only Paper Cuts, but also Macabre Daily. So much so that Matt Orozco is now being asked to do Q&As for film screenings. and I have been asked to actually do a co-chair an interview with Pulitzer Prize winning author Daniel Kraus. He just won the Pulitzer for Angel Down, and I'm going to fly out to Missouri come November, and with Conrad Stump, who heads up the horror program and helps chair the Summer Scares program for the Library Association of America. I mean, I'm so glad that he asked me to do it. I'm still wondering why, because Conrad knows that I'm a knucklehead with 5 too many teeth and a gigantically heavy tongue. But we're going to sit down and bookend Daniel Kraus, and we're going to interview him about, what's it like winning a Pulitzer, and how the novel came about and what he's got next. And it's just going to be a blast. So, yeah, I mean, things are starting to happen not only for Paper Cuts, but really for Macabre Daily. And it's exciting as hell. We've gone from, this time last year, we were about 5-6 contributors, and we have now grown to 15. So we're covering everything under the sun, and these contributors just write some dynamite articles. So people, if you haven't discovered it yet, head on over to macabredaily.com. There's a lot of goodness waiting for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me tell you, I've been listening to Paper Cuts, and wow, I mean, folks, if you haven't checked it out, I mean, if you're into reading and stuff and books, and even if you're not, I mean, it's a fantastic podcast. Sean is just stellar in his interviews, and he has some amazing guests on there. So definitely check it out on all the major platforms. Sean, you're killing it.
Oh, well, you're very, very sweet, man, to say so. I'm gonna, look, I'd love to take a lot of the credit, if not all of it, but you know me, and you know that's not true. It's really the guests. These authors are so dynamic and they're so creative, and 10 out of 10, they're just so fun. I mean, absolutely. When you get involved in the horror community, you find out immediately that even though these people write, waking nightmares and the most chilling, thrilling stuff you're ever going to read, that's going to send a chill down your spine, they are without a fault just the sweetest, nicest people. But that pales in comparison to what you've been doing, my man. I mean, every 2 seconds, I see another interview. You've got, now you have multiple, you have your own podcast network, and it's just exploding. Everything is exploding, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, it's my wife during the hiatus, she's, you're going to take it easy, and it's like I got this interview, I locked down this guy. So, I mean, I've been blessed. I've been really lucky to have been able to interview some very talented indie filmmakers and watch some incredible indie horror films. Again, like I've mentioned in the past, indie horror is the backbone of horror and the future of it. And
For sure.
it's just been amazing. So much fun. And I got a couple more coming out and working on a few more. But aside from that, been working on Adventures in 80s Cinema with Daisy.
So good.
It's so much fun working with Daisy. In fact, I recently took a trip to upstate New York, and we actually, so again, that was some time off, right? We recorded an episode up there as well. And
if you didn't, I'd have been so mad at the two of you. By the way, Daisy, I know you're listening, and I miss you. And we've got to do something, the three of us, again, just so that I can talk to Daisy.
Absolutely. Well, actually, we got something in the works for that. So
that's right. That's right. We do.
That's right. That's right. Okay. And but yeah, it's been a blast. And again, watching a ton of horror. I mean, I've been really immersing myself in horror and indie horror, and there's a lot of good
Joe,
stuff.
your interviews are so damn good. Okay, couple of reasons why. First, you do your homework, so you're so insightful about the films themselves. You're so insightful about who you're talking to, whether it be an actor or director. I mean, you really make them shine, and that's not something that you can really learn. I mean, the way your cadence to your interviews and the way you get them to immediately feel comfortable and open up. People, I'm telling you right now, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. Sometimes, people come to these interviews and we're always thankful that they're giving us their time. But sometimes it's kind of like, trying to get your high school locker combination open. It takes a couple of tries. Yeah. And you're able to snap into it immediately, and they let their guard down, and you get the real good, the juicy juice, as I like to call it, which is kind of weird and maybe a little disgusting.
It's a bit odd, but no, you're right. Absolutely. You know what? I've been so lucky. These talented filmmakers, directors, producers, and writers. They're just so grateful to be on, and they're very just such down to earth people, and so that makes it a lot easier. And of course, watching their films that, like I recently watched one of the interviews I did for a film called Dreamland Awaits, and that was just amazing. So that just made it so much easier to talk to this gentleman. Demeter Laurent was the director, and but yeah, it's fun. It really is. So now let's get to this. Okay, I got one question for you. Okay,
Sure.
horror 2026, one word. Give it to me.
It's going to be a weird word, but I really want to get into this, Joe. That word is YouTube. And and
Oh,
and and I'll unpack that, but that is the one word.
ooh, interesting. All right.
What
Curious.
about you? One
Uh,
word, what you got?
oh, wow. I'd have to say extremely promising. Oh, that's two words, huh? Uh, we'll say
Promising's
promising.
good.
Yeah. I mean, it's looking pretty good. I mean, I've seen like I stated earlier, seen a ton of films. Some dogs in there, some dog shit. But at the same time, there's a lot of great stuff coming out, and a few that have really blown my mind. And which kind of takes me back. I mean, I got to learn to really take your word 100%, because when we did our predict or and most anticipated for 2026, there's a couple of films, two films that you really nailed it. You really, really nailed it. And I got to sit there and go, Sean, I'm not going to even question it. You're absolutely right. I believe you.
Look, that was kind of like, throwing a tomato at the side of a barn, so it was a real big target for me to land on, but yeah, I mean, I would love to. We're going to talk about our two films, Hokum, and we're going to talk about Lee Cronin's The Mummy, but I definitely want to save some time for looking back. And I know we have, our next, well, I won't spoil it, but we'll tell everybody what our next episode is going to be at the end. But I do want to talk about the last 2 years, 2024 and 2025, and now we're halfway through 2026. And there's themes that are continuing throughout, which are very, very encouraging, which lean heavily into first-time filmmakers who have done short films that got studio attention, and then those studios give them money to make bigger properties.
Hmm.
Look, that's fantastic, and it really gives. It's like you're going from AAA baseball to the majors, and sometimes it
Right.
works, sometimes it doesn't. But we always love to
Right.
see those people get the shot. But in 2026, Joe, the reason I said YouTube is because there's something so organically fascinating going on in horror in 2026. And before people, get their feathers all ruffled, Sean Fennessy and Chris Ryan were talking about this on the Big Picture podcast. So two things can be true at the same time, that people in the horror community are all feeling this. So don't anybody think that I'm cribbing off of them. They summed it up succinctly and very well, and I'm going to piggyback on that by saying that 26 is feeling like the YouTube generation is getting their shot
Hmm.
at putting their stamp on horror. You've got Cubby Barker with Obsession. You've got The Backrooms comes out in
Hmm.
just a couple of weeks, and I'm really, really enjoying what I'm seeing. That kind of creepy pasta and horror that has been online for years, is now starting to make that transition to the big screen. And let me tell you something. I saw Obsession last night, and the return on investment is through the roof as far as creativity, style, substance. Holy cow, Joe. So they mentioned something that I agree with completely. They being Chris Ryan and Sean Fennessy, is that this year in horror is feeling very much. It's very similar to like 1992 when Tarantino broke through with Reservoir Dogs. I think it was 92. Maybe it was. I probably have the year wrong, but the point being that moment at Sundance, then gave birth to like this crime wave of like really gritty crime films. You've got Robert Rodriguez, and I mean, just swing a cat back then, and you were going to hit a Tarantino knockoff, and some of them were very good, and some of them were very much like, ripoffs. But that's what's happening now with horror, is that you're getting that same vibe of like these incredibly talented young filmmakers that are getting a chance to shine in horror.
Yeah.
And I think this is the tip of the iceberg, my friend.
Absolutely. I mean, and we're getting names. They're becoming names. Lee Cronin, Vanacek, McCarthy. It is amazing.
It's a whole new school, right? I mean, it feels like a new class,
Yeah.
a completely new class to the school of horror. Kind of akin to Cronenberg and Carpenter back in the day, and you're like, oh my God, and Tom Holland. I mean, just you're getting this incredibly beautiful new crop of diverse female directors, queer horror, female voices. Like there's a lot of diversity now, and there's a lot of different, instead of it all being white and male like it was back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Same goddamn thing is happening with horror literature. Now it's transitioning into horror film. And let me tell you something, I'm ready to start slapping out some roundhouse kicks up in here, Joe. Oh my God, I can't even take it. I'm so excited.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the more I think about it, I just want to jump out of my skin. It's just so awesome. It's so much fun. And we still got more. And, I mean, aside from all the big films, that are coming out or have come out, I mean, again, harking back to my interviews with these indie filmmakers, these indie films are just exciting and fun. And, I know of at least two that I've interviewed that are going to just hit it huge eventually. I mean, there's no doubt about it in my mind.
Joe, can I just do a call back to something we talked about before we took our break? We were talking about, oh boy, okay, horror in 2026 is really got the bar is set so high, coming off of 25 with Weapons and with Sinners. But let me tell you something. I think a couple of years down the road, we're going to look back at 2026 and we're going to say, oh boy, that was the year that laid the groundwork for this new crop of incredibly talented horror filmmakers, some of which you're going to see transition, into other genre. And I don't know, maybe Nia DaCosta is then going in 7-8 years time is going to do, I don't know, like the next, who even knows what, Lawrence of Arabia, who knows? I'm just picking something out of my ass. But I do feel that like the talent on display, I want it to stay in horror selfishly, but I do feel like it's going to bleed into other genres, and those other genres are going to benefit from this kind of talent. And 2026 is going to be the year that we're going to identify as, oh, that's kind of where it all started. That's where this new class emerged from. And it is just so unbelievably exciting, especially coming off the past couple of years in horror that have just been so incredible, and they're getting better.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, so yeah, bottom line, it's a lot of good stuff now, a lot of stuff coming up ahead, which it's going to basically, we got a lot to work with here on the podcast, and we're so excited. And it's going to be, I think we're going to have an awesome season 2.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree, my friend.
Absolutely. So, so for this jam-packed episode, we have a creature double feature.
All right. Now, Joe, typically back in the past, we would get about 35 minutes into talking about a film until we said there will be spoilers. So we're going to take care of that right now. Folks, we're going to be spoiling the hell out of these movies. So if you haven't seen Lee Cronin's The Mummy and you haven't seen Hokum, do yourself a favor. Press pause, go catch a creature double feature, and then come on back and finish the episode. That's it. You've been warned. Beep, boop, beep, boop.
There you go. All right. So before we roll that clip, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about our first film?
So, Joe, the first film we have is Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Now, look, let's talk about the elephant in the room immediately. They had to name it Lee Cronin's The Mummy. It was not Lee Cronin's choice to do this, so I want to set the record straight because he's got a little bit of heat. Like, hey, dude, you made Evil Dead Rise. I don't know that you're at the putting your name before the title. That was
Right.
that was 100% Blumhouse. That was not Lee Cronin. They wanted to differentiate it from the recently announced continuation of the Mummy franchise with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. So that's why it is there. Why don't we check out the trailer?
All right. Sounds like a plan. Let's roll that clip.
It's very important you fully prepare yourselves for what you're about to see. No sudden moves. No loud noises.
Hey, Butterfly. It's Mom and Dad.
Yeah, we are here. We're here.
She's been missing for 8 years. What was our daughter doing in a 3,000-year-old sarcophagus?
She just needs our care and lots of love.
How many others were found?
57.
How many of them were still alive?
What happened to Katie?
All right, gang. So, a young daughter of a journalist disappears into the desert without a trace. Being a parent, as Joe is as well, that's already triggering as hell. So, you've got our attention. Now, 8 years later, this broken family is shocked when she returns to them as what should be a joyful reunion turns into a living, breathing nightmare.
Yeah, that it is. Yeah, so let's get into some production backstory here. So in June of 2024, New Line Cinema dated an untitled film written and directed by Lee Cronin for an April 17th, 2026 release. That December, the untitled film was revealed to be a reimagining of the Mummy franchise, titled Lee Cronin's The Mummy, for reasons, that Sean just mentioned, with James Wan, Jason Blum, and John Cavill producing. Blumhouse Productions, Atomic Monster, and Cronin's production banner Doppelgangers. Wan said that most of the people who grew up in the 2 decades preceding the release of Lee Cronin's The Mummy only know The Mummy from Stephen Sommers' film The Mummy that came out in 1999.
I think that's spot on, Joe. He's right about that.
But yeah, it's interesting. I think that's actually, great for Lee Cronin's career because, The Mummy is his film is very successful. So now, yeah, he can rightfully put his name on, like John Carpenter does.
I think you're going to see that going forward. I mean, why stop now?
Yeah, absolutely. Online rumors claim the film would be retitled The Resurrected. I remember when we covered this, we mentioned it in an earlier episode of our podcast. You mentioned that it was going to be called The Resurrected.
Oh, we're going to get into that test screening, buddy. Yeah, because we kind of called bullshit at the time. I don't think it was.
Right, exactly. But it was later debunked by Cronin, who explained that that films often have code words to protect them from leaks and so forth. So the film is obviously not connected to the previous Mummy films made by Universal. Up until the release date, the official Blumhouse Twitter account repeatedly tweeted, Brendan Fraser is not in Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Just to clarify, Cronin turned down the sequel to The Evil Dead Rise to direct The Mummy. The film was finally released on April 17th, 2026. All right, so let's get into it. So what was your take on The Mummy?
Well, okay. I guess I won't be coy. I really, really enjoyed this film. ... It is not a Mummy movie. It is not a Mummy movie at all. I'm gonna look, Joe. I'm gonna go through a couple of things, and it's gonna sound very much like I'm not enjoying this film whatsoever. I'll start with, look, we can unpack the bad, and then we can transition to the good. The bad is that the movie, I think, is never needed to leave Cairo. And I think it's a detriment to the film that it does leave Cairo. I don't think the film ever had to have a cast of white actors. I think it would have been so much more interesting had it been an Egyptian family that was encountering this curse. We stayed in Cairo. We kept everything in Egypt. And I think it would have preserved the feeling of a mummy movie. When we go to New Mexico, we kind of, it turns into an Evil Dead film, which I think was Lee Cronin's intention all along. Circling back now to that test screening that we called bullshit on, I actually think that test screening did take place. And I think there was a lot of panicked people in the room because they watched the film and they realized that Lee Cronin had repurposed what most likely was an extension of the Evil Dead franchise. He repurposed that script into this mummy film. Look, it works. It works if you kind of look at it, you kind of look at it out of the side of your eye real quick. It works in the framework and it's got some interesting ideas. I kind of love the fact that this farm has a fucking pyramid. Built the farm is built on top of a pyramid. The mythology is the very small bits of mythology that we get are so incredibly good. We actually don't need more. It's just that I wish we had stayed in that location to and mind that terror and that dread in Egypt. That aside, we get what we get. We don't get upset. I like Jack Rayner. I like everyone in this film, but it would have landed better for me had it stayed on site and we would explore that mythology because it's so unbelievably interesting. Your farm is built atop of a pyramid and you essentially like inherit a mummy that has incredible powers that you kind of harness for your own purpose, whether that's nefarious or not. But the mummy's curse, so to speak, degenerates the corpse of the or it degenerates the host. So you have to get fresh host to contain that power. Joe, that's interesting as fuck, man. That's a new take on the mummy, and I'm down for it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you in the sense that, well, first of all, my take, I really, really, really enjoyed this film. It was
Same.
a lot of, it's a good popcorn film, super gory, which I totally dig. Give me more.
The third act is bananas.
Yes. But yeah, I agree with you. I hadn't thought of this. Keeping it, set in Cairo, I think would have given it more authenticity.
Well, can I ask you a question, Joe? I'm so sorry to interrupt, but can I ask you a question? Please, shoot me straight.
Uh-huh.
When you kept going back to the police officer in Egypt and she was doing her investigation of the farm, weren't you more alive in the like put the third act aside where just everything just goes to 12 billion? Put the third act aside. But during that first and second act, when you were going back and forth, weren't you more alive during those scenes in Egypt? And wasn't the suspense and the dread of being on that farm, those scenes are like almost vibrate with their intensity and the possibility of anything could happen. And it's very scary.
Yeah, no, you know what? You're absolutely, when we go back to the detective in Cairo, if it felt like, okay, we're back in, this is a mummy film. It's set in Cairo and this Egyptian detective. And yeah, I did want to see more of that. And then when we jump back to New Mexico, it's like, okay, there's a mummy run amok.
Then we're in an Evil Dead film.
You're absolutely right. This was a combo film. It was an Exorcist film. It was an Evil Dead film. It was a Conjuring film. But what I think held it together, what wrapped it up nicely, no pun intended, thank you, was that they did keep the mummy mythology running through it all.
Yes. And interestingly so, for sure.
Yeah, the use of, this really interesting use of, going away from the traditional mummy wrapping, and it's not just it's not bandages, it's skin,
Yeah,
and it imprinted with the curse, which I thought was a really unique.
Now hold on, I'm going to challenge you. Joe. Do you think it was imprinted with the curse, or do you think it was imprinted with the dark magic that contained the curse? I don't know. I'm not sure, but it's like I said, it's interesting as hell.
Right, exactly. Now that you mentioned, you're right. Initially I thought it's the curse, but it could be this or
I don't have the answer. I'm unsure. We need another movie.
right. And yeah, and you know what? And I think that's what really hooked me was that there's something on those bandages, whether it's the curse or the other thing. It's like it's just something mysterious there, and that's the source of this curse. And I was really taken in by it. And I love Lee Cronin's, he knows how to do a jump scare. He knows how to work the gore. And he knows how to set a mood of terror. And I mean, this movie had me jumping and squirming in my chair. I went to see this by myself because my wife and kids, they went to go see it while I was out when I went to New York. And I took a Saturday. I went by myself, and so I had nobody to clutch to. So, but it really had me going. I was never bored throughout this film, and again, this is a fun popcorn film with a lot of gore and scares.
It's I saw it myself as well in a fairly packed theater, and the vibe was I know we differ on the monkey, but the vibe was very, very similar to the monkey, where the audience was completely into it. The beats were landing, the laughs were landing, the nervous laughs were landing. Like it just
Mhm.
really Cronin, Lee, I look, it's funny we're talking about two Irish filmmakers today. So Lee
Yeah.
Cronin is an Irish filmmaker. He started with A Hole in the Ground, which people find, go seek it out. I think it may be on Shudder. It's probably on Tubi as well. You can find it for free. Really good, tight Irish folklore movie, incredibly well made. You're gonna enjoy it. Then he goes to Evil Dead Rise. And it's just like what we were talking about previously. Someone who makes a smaller film. This was, Hole in the Ground wasn't a short film, but it was an Irish film, indie. And he gets a shot with a studio and he makes Evil Dead Rise. And that film did incredibly well
Mhm.
and is very well received. So
Yeah.
much so that that now the franchise is continuing with Sebastian Vanacek with Evil Dead Burn, but then we have another Evil Dead movie coming right on the hot heels of that one. So
Yeah.
anyway, look, maybe we don't deserve it, but we'll take it. We're just being spoiled with the Evil Dead franchise. I love it.
Yeah, and one thing that I really like what Cronin did here was because we both watch a ton of horror, and usually characters make stupid decisions, or it's like, why are you doing this? I mean, Larissa, played by Leah Costa, um, you know, Katie there's something wrong with this kid. I mean, why does she keep her around? I mean, it's the guilt that's clouding her judgment, and I think that he weaved that in. I never found myself going, you know what? Why the fuck do they have this kid? Take her somewhere,
Yeah.
But we buy into it. I never found myself asking that question. And because the kid is this catatonic, weird looking kid, with oh man, the makeup, by the way, was amazing.
Look, the crafts people that they have on this film, from the set design to the props to the makeup, it's a gorgeous film to watch, man. It really is.
Yeah, yeah. And you have your little catchphrases there that really kind of stick to you, like, what was it? Don't worry, grandma. It's great to be dead.
It's so Evil Dead that it couldn't be more Evil Dead, unless Ash showed up with a chainsaw on his wrist and said
Right.
groovy.
Oh man. I mean, I was cracking up, but also it sent a chill down my spine. It was so much. And that's the fun aspect of this film. That I think Cronin, he wants to scare you, but he's taking a page from Raimi's book. It's like, yeah, but I'm gonna fuck with you, and we're gonna have some fun at the same time.
Cronin he's a student at the school of Raimi, and I love that for him. And I think that he adds to it. Sure, some of the beats feel very familiar. They're Raimi-esque, but he puts his own spin on them. The highest compliment that I can pay Lee Cronin, who I really do enjoy, and I will follow his career every film that he makes, is that this movie, Lee Cronin's The Mummy, is two films. It's a kind of a mummy movie, and it's very much an Evil Dead movie. And those movies don't correlate. And you would think that the end product would tear itself apart because one would steal from another, and there's no balance. And the highest compliment I can pay Lee Cronin is that does not happen in this film.
Mm-hmm.
It is a mummy movie, and it's very much a possession, Evil Dead film, to your point, Joe, but it never comes apart at the seams.
Right.
It stays intact, so much so that I think Cronin, he kind of knew, I think he knew what he had and what he didn't, more purposefully what he didn't have, which was what probably Blumhouse and James Wan wanted in a traditional mummy movie. And instead of tempering his film to maybe meet the studio notes, and again, this is just wild assumption on my part, he double, triple, quadruples down and says, no, I'm going to make the film that I want to make. And then he leans into that third act, and it's so bonkers fantastic that I think he kind of puts the fires out that I'm perceiving that the studio had. And they're like, all right, maybe we didn't get the mummy film that we asked for, but we're kind of happy with the mummy film that we were going to get. And this is a successful film, man. I mean, it was pretty well received, but it made money. And Cronin's going to now go on. I mean, he's coming off Evil Dead Rise. He's coming off The Mummy. He's got a bit of a hot hand. He can land films. And there's no one in this cast that draws. You know, they're all fine actors, but there's no names. This is a Lee Cronin film. His name deserves to be before the title because this is him and him alone, and he landed the plane.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, the film features some extreme stomach-turning special effects.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Joe, the fucking scorpion scene.
Oh, fuck that! Oh God!
I was thinking of you when I was watching it. I was thinking of you, and I was listening to you scream in my head and knowing how much you loved that scene.
Oh God! You know what? At that point, because I saw it around 11 a.m., you know, I was going to have lunch afterwards. It was at that point I'm like, you know, lunch is not happening today. Not going to happen. But I think, you know what, you know, this relentless focus on bile and gore and elevated horror. I mean, I don't think, you know, you would think because it's constant. I mean, once it kicks in, it's in your face and it's coming at you from all angles. And I don't think it desensitizes us as the audience into a numbness because this is what 134-minute runtime.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think we get tired of it, nor do we go, okay, this is enough. Because I've seen horror films that are extreme and they just kind of go on and on and on. But I don't think I got tired. I don't think the audience at all got tired at any point, you know, with this film. It just grabs you and holds you to the very end.
I couldn't agree more. Look, okay, one complaint other than you know, okay, my perception of a mummy movie was not fulfilled, and that's okay. I'm over it. Someone's going to make a mummy movie that you know, will lean into the universal. I mean, shit, it's probably, you know, we're going to get Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. Let's see what that looks like. I mean, I've already bought my ticket in my mind.
Oh, absolutely.
The one thing that's concerning me, buddy, and I want your take on this, is that even with these YouTube filmmakers and these short filmmakers, when they get their studio chance, the blueprint for a successful horror film, not always, everybody calm down, I can already feel people yelling at me, but the blueprint for a successful horror film is typically 90 minutes, a good hour and a half.
Yeah.
Get in there, scare the pants off of us, and get out!
Yeah.
And these films are going, on average, 10, 15 minutes too long. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's been a few that I've seen this year thus far that I think kind of extended the welcome. You're right. Get in, get out, do what you got to do, because it almost feels like the director's like, oh, I got you. I'm going to give you more. I want to give you more. And oh, I know you want more. And when we're sitting there going, we had enough. We're ready to move on now. And I think that does dilute the experience when you take it a little too far.
Joe,
You know?
look, I'm in a generous mood. I'll even give filmmakers an hour and 45. You can have an hour and 45, you know, not including credits, but you gotta stick the landing, gotta land the plane in an hour and 45. Let's see if we can start leaning into that these days.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, question, the ending, okay, which you know what, I bought into it, I liked it, but it did feel like a studio ending.
It was the studio ending, pal. You know, you called it. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, because spoiler alert, do the alert, Sean.
Oh, beep boop, beep 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 boop boop.
There we go. Basically, in order to get this entity out of the host, you have to do this incantation, this ancient from ancient text, and then the entity will come out of the mouth and into the next host and inhabit them. And so what they end up doing is, the father, which I thought, you know what, that ending would have been fucked up, but really, I would have loved it.
It was the
Where,
better ending. That movie ended. That was Cronin's ending.
yeah,
You nailed it. You
yeah,
nailed it.
because the spirit, the father, he sacrifices himself to save his daughter, and he just says, "Do the incantation," and he has the entity enter him, and you're like, "Oh God!" Part of you is touched. As a parent, I would do it, and it brings a morbid tear to your eye. I'm like, that's really beautiful. But what they end up doing is they find the woman who was responsible for this curse in the first place. And she brought out this curse, and they find her, they track her down, they bring the dad down, and they do the incantation and put it into the woman. Little justice kind of ending, which, you know what, I didn't mind, again, because I think Cronin landed the plane, as he would say. He gave us a very satisfying film. It's a lot of fun, and I forgave him for it, but it would have been a much better ending with the father ending up with the spirit in him for all eternity.
I agree. No, I couldn't agree more. And again, we don't need to belabor it. You said it. That was a studio note, and it doesn't diminish the film, but it's so jarringly a studio note that you're like, oh, okay, all right. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, you had it. Okay, can I will forgive it for one reason and one reason only. And I know this won't happen, but I loved May L. Kalamaway as the police officer.
Oh, she
If
was
we,
great.
if we continued, we lose the family, we lose Jack Raynor and the family. Okay, they go back to New Mexico and deal with all the fucking trauma that they just, you bought wholesale. Uh, uh, and by the way, I mean, we didn't even get into the grandmother's death. Again, beep boop, beep boop. I mean, they kill the fuck out of that grandmother so bad.
Oh, and
It
they beat the
is,
shit out of her beforehand. I mean, she
she's,
was being, oh man.
she's such a nice woman, and they obliterate her. But anyway, so the family goes back to New Mexico. We stay with the police officer, and now, we don't do a mummy continuation. How about we explore some other Egyptian folklore, which there are scads of,
Hmm.
and she's kind of like our shit. I'd love a series with her, and then we just explore some Egyptian folklore, and it's basically like an Egyptian X-Files. Never happened except in my head, but I'd be down for it.
Oh, that'd be fucking amazing. It'd be like, what's the name? What's a Dan Brown character uh, what was that? Da Vinci Code. What
Oh,
was
the
that?
Da Vinci Code, sure.
Yeah, something like that. Have that character, continue on. It's like, okay, this was the catalyst for her to dive into, all these curses and become, like you said, an Egyptian Scully or something. I mean, that would be fantastic.
There's so much rich, terrifying international folklore that is just waiting to be mined. The only problem is, and I mean, look, we confronted in the studio system time and time and time again that films will not be greenlit unless they cram a white face up the ass of the movie. And it's on display right here. And I'm looking at you, Blumhouse. I'm looking at
Mhm,
you, Jason Blum. And honestly, I'm looking at you, James Wan. And
mhm.
come on, you know, believe in your audience. Believe that
Yeah.
your audience will go see a film that centers around an Egyptian family. Believe it
Mhm,
in an audience that wants to seek these new stories out. You know? I mean,
mhm.
stop falling back on this shit. Be
Yeah.
interesting. Be
No,
creative. Come
I
on.
agree. Yeah, exactly. Cut us some slack and, like I said, believe in us that we want something original, something different. We're ready
People are
for
going to
some.
show up, man. You know?
Oh, absolutely. But again, it's the whole studio mentality of, here's a formula. here's a format. Here's something that has sold in the past. Let's repackage it and sell it because that's what they're going to eat up. And give us a benefit of the doubt. We're ready for original stuff.
Someone have the courage to try. I understand that there's money attached to it. I know there are people that are listening to this right now and they're like, "You're so naive, Sean. You know what the hell you're talking about. If you don't have, fucking white bread Brad Johnson attached to it, it's not going to sell overseas, or it's not going to get greenlit here at home." I get that, but someone's got to try. Someone's got to stand up and say, "Fuck that. You know what? We're doing 100% Egyptian cast. We're not even going to shoot this goddamn thing in English. People are going to have to read subtitles. And you know what? I invite you to go fuck yourself if that's a problem."
Yeah. A, I would absolutely love that. And B, unfortunately, that'll never happen.
Yeah, it's true. I know. We're Don Quixote tilting at windmills, my friend.
There you go. All righty. So what do you say we get into our ratings on this, on the Fright Meter?
Oh boy! All right, dude, you got to give me what's the scale? What do you?
Okay, all right, here we go. You ready for this?
Oh, I'm so ready.
We're going on a rating scale of 1 to 10, rotting toenails.
Oh my god, it was so disgusting. Okay,
I mean, quick spoiler. I mean, again, if you haven't seen this, just fast forward over this little section here. When she comes back with some really gnarly fucking toenails, and the mom is cutting the big toenail and she's working it. And Cronin he's fucking with you. He's like, he's just yanking at it and it's moving inside, and she pulls the toenail and it just takes a bunch of skin and peels it all the way up to the knee.
I mean, and she's not using nail clippers, people. She's basically using like calipers that you would use to put a railroad tie in turn of the century. I mean, it's so insane. Oh, it's so great. It's a really fun movie. People, if you haven't seen Lee Cronin's The Mummy, you just go see it. It's really, really good.
Absolutely. All right. So what is your rating on scale of 1 to 10 rotting toenails?
You know what? I'm giving it. It earned this. It's a solid 8. It really is a solid 8 for me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to me, I had a blast with this film. I was grossed out. It fucked up my lunch plans.
Joe's dropped 17 pounds since The Mummy.
Yeah, three more screenings of this, and I'll be as thin as a rail, man. Oh, geez. But I'm going to give this.
Eat before you go see this movie for sure.
Yeah, you know what? Great idea. So I'm also going to give this a solid 8 out of 10 rotting toenails. This was a lot of fun. And
yeah, it was so much fun.
Okay, so what do you say we move on to the next terrific film and roll that clip.
Fado, long, long ago, deep in the woods, there lived an old kayak. A witch.
One of the members of staff is missing.
What do they think happened to her?
Go home.
Well, you still look like your passport picture.
Demons do exist. It's just people with closed minds. Can't see him.
Fado, long, long ago.
Who's there?
A horror writer visits an Irish inn to scatter his parents' ashes, unaware that the property is said to be haunted by a witch. It is.
I was sold with the description off the bat before even a trailer. So what do you say we get in some quick production backstory on this? The film is written and directed by Damien McCarthy and based on his own original story. Principal photography took place in County Cork in Ireland in February and March of 2025. Adam Scott spent nearly 3 weeks filming alone in a single room, a process he described as emotionally demanding, but important for conveying the character's isolation. And what's up with McCarthy and fucking rabbits? So the film's Rabbit People, it's a continuing and recurring motif for Damien McCarthy's work and was inspired in part by his childhood fear of the film Watership Down, which came out in 78.
Nightmare fuel.
Yeah, it fucked with me. It really did. I saw this as a kid. I'm like, it was a good film, but so a mysterious 41-second teaser trailer for Hokum was secretly attached to the theatrical release of the 2025 film Keeper to build that anticipation. The film was released on March 14th, 2026. All right, Sean, talk to me.
All right, can I give you a little bit about rabbits and Irish folklore?
Sure, I love it. Go for it.
All right, so yeah, look, people, Sean Patrick, Kieran, Kevin O'Connor, speaking to you about Irish folklore. So rabbits show up time and time again because they're closely they're linked to shape-shifting and the basically the supernatural and like the other world, so to speak. And they can be good and bad. They can symbolize protection, but they can also symbolize like sinister intent. That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. I mean, at first, initially I thought, oh, he's kind of inspired by the Donnie Darko thing, but it's further from that. There's furthest thing from that, apparently. And yeah, it's creepy as fuck. The rabbit people in this, Jesus, or the rabbit person. So, what was your take?
I guess you could say that I am a fan of the Damiens, Damien McCarthy and Damien Rugna. They're my two favorite horror film directors at the moment. Damien McCarthy, I discovered him one rainy day cruising through Shudder when I watched Caveat, and I was immediately hooked. If you haven't seen that film, it's on Shudder. Check it out. It's just it's so good. I'm not going to spoil this one. Just watch it. It's so creative. He does so much with so little, and he elicits a vibe that carries through with oddity. He's got more money, and I think he's able to expand on his creativity. Oddity is still my favorite. I loved Hokum. I am going to go see it again. I needed to let it settle a bit for me. I brought my wife. She was not happy with me whatsoever. Not for her. But this was exactly what I wanted. And it will definitely be in my top 3 of horror films of 2026. But Oddity is still, of his 3 films, it is my favorite. Oddity just rocks my world. I tell everyone about it, probably ad nauseum, but yeah, this is my guy. Damien McCarthy is my guy. And he's 3 for 3 for me. This film, I've got a couple of notes. Like, I don't think we needed the Conquistador cold open, like intro and outro. We could have lost that. It would have shaved, that 10 minutes I'm talking about off the film. You would have lost nothing. Also, we don't need to have, and this is a running theme in horror lately for the past couple of years. Not everybody needs to be unpacking trauma. We can leave that, you can have people in a horror film that are living great lives that are completely happy with themselves, and something comes along and fucks up their day. They don't need to come into the film carrying a heavy weight. As a matter of fact, I'll challenge filmmakers and screenwriters going forward. I think it's more interesting if you have someone who really enjoys their life and you destroy that. When you have someone who is not really having a great time and then you add to that, you're like, it's kind of a hat on a hat, so to speak.
Yeah.
Not to say that it's not interesting, but it's more interesting when you take somebody, when you've got, I don't know, Fright Night. This kid just wants to get laid. And then Jared Dandridge moves in next door. Like, this kid's having a great senior year. And then he doesn't. Like, that's interesting. And it's fun, Anyway. So.
Well, you know what? I think that's, the filmmaker's way of, okay, he's dealing with a horror or terror from within. And in order to deal, kind of like fight fire with fire, maybe, in that, okay, then he's exposed to this foreign external horror, and that helps him deal with the horror that he's dealing with inside. But you're right. You know what? That is a trope. It is a trope, actually, that we do see a lot of. And yeah, you know what? That would be an interesting take to go with. Yeah, you know,
It's become a screenwriting cliche, or it's
yeah.
dangerously close to becoming a screenwriting cliche, and we have to move away from it. And now I'll make myself the most savage hypocrite you've ever met. There's the scene when he's in the basement at toward the end. Beep boop, beep boop. We're spoiling people. We already said, but there's a scene at the end where he's chained up and his back is against the wall and he's weeping, and then his ghost of his mother comes, and it's probably one of the most effective scenes in the movie. And if he
Yeah.
wasn't a character with trauma, that scene would be weird, or he wouldn't be there at all. And it's a
Mhm.
great scene. So I'm a lousy, stinking hypocrite, because it's a really great moment in the film that I think the film would be less than if we didn't have it. So shit, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. There's so many people listening right now that are nodding, going, "Yeah, you don't." Sure.
Well, no. But you know what? That is a testament to McCarthy's craft and what he's able to work with, what he does and to make that work. Because in the hands of another or a lesser director, that scene would have come across as kind of corny and cheesy. And
So wait, Joe, let me ask you, what did you feel about the film?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I was genuine. I mean, the first words out of my mouth coming out of the theater to my wife was, "That was terrifying."
Yeah.
And I mean, he had me by the nuts and just, and just squeeze and scaring and just uncomfortable and scared and suspenseful, just full of suspense. Um, I loved it. I think that, less is more, like you stated earlier, like with Caveat, and which was a great film, Oddity, which I, like yourself, I adore that film. And I'm constantly recommending that film to everyone I talk to in the same breath when I'm talking about this film. You know what? But he does ratchet it up a bit more in this film. And it works. It works, because again, you look at Caveat and you look at Oddity, and it's a very subtle, very simple approach, and he's gnawing at your inner fears as in these films, and he does that here, but he does ratchet up the volume and the intensity in this one, and it's so fucking effective. And I mean, to me personally, as much as I love Oddity, it's like a 10 plus. I mean, you know what? I love this McCarthy's best work to date, I dare say. And I hope he stays on this path and doesn't go Hollywood and start, leaning into tropes and your
There's no
stereotypical
plan to,
horror.
pal. His next film, he's already written it, or he's about to finish it. It's a haunted house film. So now he knows his wheelhouse, and I think he's super comfortable here.
Oh man, well, did you hear that? That was my wallet opening up because my money's already there. I can't wait. I'd be just, yeah. Now,
Now-
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm going to say something weird. Oddity is my favorite film, but I agree with you, Joe. This is my favorite framework. His third act, actually, it's pretty much like the midpoint of the film. So it's second act into the third act. When we get up into the honeymoon suite, it turns into not a different film, but the guardrails are off, and and what he does with terror and the expectation of terror, and then the delivery upon that expectation is so, it's like Leonard Bernstein conducting an orchestra, like in full command of every single beat and every gentle and then not so gentle, push into just ultimate fear. It's an amazing manipulation of emotion. And that's why we go see horror movies. And he does it so well. And I'm still like dumbfounded.
Yeah. And you know what you're talking about, he's in total control. And, you have other filmmakers who are in control of their narrative and their scare tactics and so forth. But one thing a lot of directors kind of fail to do is take control 100% of your audience, of your viewer. And you're under complete control of McCarthy's manipulation of your fears and your scares. And I mean, like I said, he's like maestro, orchestrating this incredible orchestra, and it works. I mean, the set pieces are just amazing. The fucking dumbwaiter situation
Right?
that freaked me out. Spoiler alert. I mean, this was one sequence where because the dumbwaiter takes him down into the dungeons, I guess you can say, where the witch resides, and he has to do something down there, and so he rushes back to the dumbwaiter, and he has a timing mechanism set up with a trinket that pushes the button upstairs.
It's two of my
And
favorite shots in the movie when they do the close up on the little trinket's face.
oh God, man, that was masterful. But it doesn't go off on time.
Yeah,
And
that's what I'm
the
talking
witch
about.
is coming up to him, and I'm just clutching my seats. And I'm like, oh shit. And you're like, it's coming at him. And he's like, come on, come on, come on. And finally, it goes up there, right? And he escapes. I'm like, oh shit.
McCarthy
He's,
elicits a Jaws-esque emotional
yeah,
response where you're literally pulling your feet up off the floor,
yeah.
because the danger is approaching. It's incredible. It's incredible.
And what does McCarthy do? Once he's safe, he's at the top. What does he do? The little trinket hits the button again and starts making it go back down. The audience lost their shit. My wife, I mean, she left imprints with her nails on my arm during that sequence, which, by the way, just like most movies that are very effective, she saw about 50% of this film.
Yeah,
Um,
same with Jen.
yeah, and but I mean, I loved it. It was so much fun, and but it was truly, truly terrifying. That fucking witch, I had, that's a nightmare-inducing image.
Joe, can I point out something that I think is very interesting and very smart? Both these films, The Mummy and Hokum, you've got the witch in the basement of a hotel, and you've got the pyramid essentially in like the basement of a farm.
Mhm.
Neither one of these mythologies are explored. Other filmmakers would make the mistake, and even studios would kind of demand, hey, we need to know why that pyramid is there and why the mummy has a curse. We need to know why the witch is in the basement of this hotel and what her origin story is. Neither filmmakers give a stitch about this, and
Mhm.
it works beautifully, and it doesn't detract from the film. As a matter of fact, I think it challenges the audience's imagination, which I don't think enough filmmakers do, not only in horror, just in genre alone. Just trust your audience. They'll fill in the blanks. You don't need to lay the blueprint out. Sometimes, actually not sometimes, almost all the time, it's better if you don't. You leave it ambiguous and you challenge an imagination. And the experience, film going experience is more enriching and delightful because of it.
No, absolutely. It's because human nature, we want answers. Why is that pyramid there? Why is the witch residing there? What is this dungeon? And with a skillful, talented director like McCarthy, we're asking those questions. He's not going to answer them, and then we go, okay, I'll figure it out myself. And then, like you said, we fill in the blanks, and sometimes that's even more of a
Or better yet,
terrifying
we don't
experience.
figure it out ourselves and we just accept it. Like, yeah, there's a witch
Yeah.
in the basement. Yeah, there's a pyramid on the farm. Done. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. And what did you think? And this really took me back to another classic, amazing horror film, one of my all-time favorites. Brendan Conroy, who plays Cobb, he's the owner of the bed and breakfast of the hotel. He's telling these kids this story about the witch. And it took me back to John Houseman in John Carpenter's The Fog.
The fog. 100%, my man. 100%. I got fog vibes, and I also got the Chatter Society from Peter Straub's Ghost Story, the movie Ghost Story.
Yes, absolutely. And it's a device that, this character is telling this story, but he's telling us a story. We're sitting next to those kids, or in the case of The Fog, we're sitting, on the beach with those teenagers as this story is beginning to unfold before us. And it immediately draws one in to it because, where's this going? Oh man, I love that device.
And the irony is Adam Scott, who plays a great dick in this film,
Yeah.
Adam Scott is, inserts himself into the conversation, tells the kids, to beat it, kind of berates the man, like, what are you doing talking to kids? You creep. It would have benefited him greatly had he let this man finish the story.
Oh man. Now here's a little Easter egg. I don't know if you caught it, but that the bell on the desk, do you know where that's from?
It's from Oddity.
Yeah, I immediately caught that, and which was a really. We're not going to give away anything about Oddity because, folks, you really have to watch this one. It's a great film, but the bell in Oddity has a really interesting little place in the story. But yeah, I caught that. I'm like, oh, that's clever. I
Joe,
loved it.
there are Easter eggs all throughout the film. The couple checking in before Adam Scott is the couple who I guess, well, I'm not going to spoil Caveat, but they're a prominent couple in the movie Caveat. So the
Oh.
fun thing is you kind of lay McCarthy's 3 films out, and the chronology isn't what we have with Caveat, Oddity, Hokum. I think the chronology is Hokum, Caveat, Oddity.
Oh, so you think he's building a Tarantino-esque universe?
He has confirmed that all of these films take place within the same universe, within
Oh,
the same world he's created.
Oh, you just made me a bigger fan than I already was of McCarthy. That's fantastic. I love that.
Right?
Oh man.
It is great. It really is great. He just he's building this beautiful haunted world, and I just can't wait to see where he takes us next. I know eventually, because Hokum made money, Hokum did well, and it was very well received. I know eventually a studio will snag him and say, hey, look, we've got some IP that we'd like you to take a crack at. And I kind of love to see what that looks like. But at the same time, I really want him to stay in his sandbox for as long as we get him there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, a bit of criticism, which I agree with you that you stated in when we started this film. The conquistador, because he's a writer, and he's writing a story about a conquistador who's stuck out in the desert. He has a map in a bottle, yada yada. We could have done without that bookend.
It adds nothing. Yeah, it adds nothing.
I'm sure McCarthy was trying to say something in this film, but yeah, we could have done without that, and this would have been an even better film.
But you know what it is? It's that hat on a hat again, because we got the cathartic ending that we were looking for with Adam Scott learning something and not being the jerk that he walked in the entrance as. And we get that when he tells the bellboy, the bellman, yeah, all right, I'll take a look at your manuscript. Whereas previously he had burned him with a hot spoon, So we didn't need that ending with the conquistador who doesn't kill the child,
Right.
like
Yeah.
again, we'd seen what we needed to see with Adam Scott 5 minutes prior.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And talk about Adam Scott, who was fantastic in this film. I loved
So
him in
good.
this. And you know what? I love the way McCarthy crafts his character, because it makes you really think about people in general. You come across dickheads and people with fucked up attitudes and just a general, apparent hatred for life and people. But there's a reason why. And, which McCarthy does explore with his character. It makes you say, listen, come across people like that. Yeah, they're annoying. That's fucked up, but they're human. Something must have triggered this.
There's a fascinating, again, it's the trauma angle, but it is fascinating that Adam Scott goes to the hotel and he kills himself. He does
Yeah.
kill himself. He tries to. But in his everyday life, he's miserable and he wants to end it, and he's racked with guilt for accidentally killing his mother.
Yeah.
It's only when confronted with a fate worse than death that he's like, oh, no, I very much want to live. Couple days prior, I hung myself, but now when faced with abject terror, no, that fight or flight kicks in, and it's all fight.
Mhm.
It's all, and that's when the movie kicks into overdrive, and it becomes almost, this kind of locked room mystery, and he is the locked room. not only metaphorically but physically. And the
Mhm.
movie is amazingly, it has you in the palm of its hand, and then you're
Mhm.
with Adam Scott with every single second in that room of how the fuck do we get out of here?
Right, right. And you know what? And again, we're introduced to him. He's a jerk. We don't like him. We know he's our protagonist. But that one sweet sequence where his mother comes to him and forgives him and asks him to forgive himself.
I was crying. I was crying in the movie theater.
Yeah. And then at that point, we're like you said, we're on board with him, and we're with him on this horrific journey. Um, yeah, I mean, and Adam Scott, again, going back to him, phenomenal, an incredible job. In fact, he was the one thing. There was a few things in the infamous monkey episode that we did. Uh, you know what? He was one of the elements that I really enjoyed, even though he was only in the opening sequence. I loved him in that. I think he was great. He has a face. He has a way of coming across that he's perfect. And in this he was great. And adding a lot to the multi-layered aspects of his character's trauma and dilemmas. He really you really, like you said, you relate to him and you identify with him.
Adam Scott does not get enough credit as a 21st century Scream King. He is.
Yeah, and I believe this is what, his second horror film?
Not even close, bud. I mean, honestly, if you go
Really?
through his filmography, he's got probably close to a half dozen sneaky horror films on there.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
I got to dig into his filmography. Yeah, I'm a fan. I definitely am.
The story
So,
going around now, which is great, is that he was in Hellraiser 4 and he got killed, and he auditioned for Hellraiser 6, hoping that they wouldn't remember that he got killed in Hellraiser 4.
that would have been great. They should have just brought him back. I mean, yeah, I'd love him. Love his work. So what do you say we jump into our ratings on this one?
Love to. What do we got?
Okay, so we're going on a scale of 1 to 10, demented bunnies.
Okay. This one's gonna be high for me. I'm going 9. I feel comfortable with a solid 9.
All right. Wow. I agree. It's a good score. For me, this movie truly terrified me. I go to a scary movie. I want to be scared. I went in and it subverted my expectations because I had an idea I was going to be scared based on, his previous works, Oddity and Caveat. It didn't scare me. It terrified me.
Yeah, terrifying.
Yeah, and it was just chock full of scares, some jump scares, some genuine, works of just dragging you through this horror. To me, I'm gonna give it 10 out of 10 demented bunnies. Yes.
Joseph, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it was fantastic. I'm a diehard McCarthy fan from this point forward. I was already a fan. This just solidified it for me.
But I think we can both agree. I mean, we were cautiously optimistic what the horror scene would look like for 26, coming
Mhm.
off just the nirvana of 25 and the fucking the fantastic year that 24 was. And here we are. We're not even halfway through. And I've got to say, I don't know, this could be my favorite year of horror of the 3 that we were, just talking about.
Yeah.
And the year's not even half over. Holy
Yeah.
cow. What a
Yeah.
great year.
Absolutely. Which, that segues into what our next episode is going to be. Why don't you tell them, Sean?
All right. We're gonna take a look at what the slate of horror films for the first part of 2026, what our hits and misses are, and we're gonna unpack it.
Absolutely. So we're giving our top 5 so far, some misses and some honorable mentions. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like you said, it's going to be a lot to unpack. And I'm totally, totally excited for what's coming. I love what I've seen so far. And I'm very optimistic. Like I said, this is going to be one of those years that we're going to look back on and go, yeah, 2026 was a damn good year.
So, Joe, all right, homework for me and you. So we'll be recording in a couple weeks' time. I saw Obsession last night. You gotta go see Obsession, and then the 2 of us have to go see the Backrooms because by the time we technically get to the June 1st demarcation line
Mhm.
of the first 6 months, those 2 films have to be included in the first part of the year.
All right, so perfect. That's I'm definitely going to check those out. I mean, I've seen I saw the teaser for Obsession. I was kind of uh, then I saw the full trailer. I'm like, okay, this one is now I have not seen a trailer for Backrooms, so I'm excited to see that. I'm not going to check out the trailer. I'm just going to go in blind.
Let me tell you something. Okay, so benefit of having watched Obsession last night. Great theater experience. Everybody was on their edge of their seat. I'm telling you right now, Joe, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. And maybe, I mean, I I worship at the altar of McCarthy. Maybe my favorite horror film of 2026 so far. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. Maybe.
you know, you're preaching to the choir because it's definitely the top. Oh, I don't want to spoil it, but it's way up there. It's my favorite film of the year thus far, and that says something because there was a couple of zingers in there that were just amazing. And you got Bone Temple, Primate, which were amazing. And so it's definitely up there. Maybe my number one as well.
Oh, we're gonna have a great time talking about our first half. First half of 26. Not even the top 10 at the end in December. The first half of the year, and we're this one. And we can't even, and we're challenged about which one's the best because there's so many great ones out there.
Yeah, absolutely. When we hit that top 10 of the year in December, it's going to be both. It's a super fun episode to work on, but at the same time, it's going to be tough and really, to put that list together because I know, it's gonna be, I want this one, but I have to knock it off the list because of this one, and then there's honorable mention. So yeah, it's gonna be great. So folks, season 2, thank you for joining us. We got a lot coming up, a lot of fun stuff, a lot of surprises.
Joe,
And,
can I throw one more thing out there? Because I know we're a horror film, FILM podcast. One more thing out there. Please, everybody, if you have Apple TV, you must watch Widow's Bay. It is the best show on TV right now. It is everything the horror lover needs in their life. Watch Widow's Bay.
Oh, I heard of it. Okay, I'm definitely going to check that out. Fantastic.
It's the new generation X-Files, although it's nothing. It's not X-Files, but we will be talking about it down 10 years time. We're going to be looking back on this series and we're going to say, oh yeah, that was our X-Files of 2026.
Okay, now I'm excited to check it out.
It's
Definitely gonna
brilliant.
look at it.
It's
All
brilliant
right.
with a capital B. All right, I'll stop talking about it.
Well, listen, folks, thank you for hanging out with us, and we really hope you enjoyed the show.
Please help to support the podcast by giving us a 5-star rating. You know the algorithm. Skynet. That was my AOL noise right there, Joe. And leave a good review. Or another way to support us is to subscribe. Please subscribe and follow us on Amazon, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Deezer, Audible, Boomplay, or wherever you get your podcast fix. The only way that we expand our reach is if that stupid algorithm sees 5 stars and good reviews. So please.
Absolutely. And you can also catch me on Adventures in 80s Cinema, which comes out every other week, available on all the same platforms. And the Film Joe podcast, the one that started it all for me, is still available out there on the same platform. So make sure you check them out.
If you people aren't listening to Adventures in 80s Cinema, you're doing yourself a disservice. So good. Joe, you and Daisy have the best chemistry on the planet, and each and every episode is just 10 out of 10, no notes, chef's kiss.
Thank you.
You can also find me over at macabredaily.com, where I head up the Paper Cuts column along with absolute Wonder Twin Power superstars Brian Finnerty and Michelle Delgado. And you can find me at Sean OC, that's at SEANOC, the number 32 on Instagram. And I'd love it if you'd follow me.
All right. Oh, and your new podcast.
Oh, the Paper Cuts podcast on the Macabre Daily Network.
All right. And folks, if you don't check out this podcast of his, that's criminal. Just check it out. It's an amazing.
Yeah, you'll go to jail. Joe's right. You'll go to jail.
Yeah. And not, this will be a Turkish kind of jail. So you don't want to go there. So
Oh, damn, tempt me with a good time.
And also, folks, don't forget to check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, or YouTube, where all of our regular episodes drop as well. And you can find all those links in our link tree below in the show notes.
And don't forget, you can also hit us up on email. So you can contact us directly at fearonfilmpod@gmail.com. And we'd love to get your feedback. Or maybe you have some suggestions. Or maybe you just want to, I don't know, send a heart emoji. We'd love it all.
Heart emoji. I like that. All right. Yeah. So with that being said, I'm Joe.
And I'm Sean.
And this is Fear on Film,
where horror lives.